Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back. It is exactly 9:49 a.m. and we are now joined by the CEO of AWQAF South Africa, Zainul Abidin Kaji. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the program.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And thank you so much once again for having me on this wonderful show of yours. Jazakallah.
Always, you know what, Zainul, I've been telling you this from day one, that you guys are doing amazing work, and an organization like yours, AWQAF South Africa, was long overdue, and it's amazing to see the work that you guys are, that you're involved in, and the upliftment. It is absolutely awesome. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept all efforts, inshallah. And this time around, we are going to be talking about the Global Waqf Conference. What was its focus, and what's been some of the highlights of the conference, which was held in December last year? And I do know shortly after the conference, I think whilst you guys were there, I had a brief interview with, I think it was the Bulbulia guy. Aasif Bulbulia, there you go. But I think our time was very limited, and that particular issue, his paper, needed to be unpacked in more detail. Not sure if we're going to have enough time to do that on this show this morning, but let's start right at the outset. What was this conference all about? What were the highlights for you? And, what else can you share with us regarding that conference?
Okay, so first of all, I wasn't actually at the conference.
Okay.
I was actually away for some other family commitment. But Aasif was there. Aasif was the person nominated to attend the conference on behalf of AWQAF South Africa. And we've been involved with this conference for a number of years, and we've presented papers there. We've been quite involved even at the level of being a strategic partner of the conference. So, and these conferences have been held since 2013, actually, on an annual basis in various countries, in Istanbul, in Thailand, in Russia, in Indonesia, and so, Istanbul as well, and in the UK. So this is an annual event, annual conference. It was kind of, let's say, had some hiccups during the COVID period. So we had online webinars actually with the conference. But be that as it may, the focus of this conference is actually on the development of Waqf, to highlight the existence of this beautiful institution of Waqf worldwide. And so far, there's been over 2,500 delegates that have attended these conferences over the period of time. So it may sound like a small number, but its outreach has been much more than the 2,500 people. It assembles a whole range of speakers discussing various topics on related to Waqf property, Waqf investments, Waqf relations with community, social cohesion, social investments, the cultural aspects, the infrastructure aspects of AWQAF. And so the essence of this conference is actually just highlighting, creating awareness of the whole institution of Waqf. And as we know, that this institution has been kind of buried due to colonialism and due to nationalism and so forth, particularly in the Muslim world. And this institution, a very important institution as far as the Islamic economy and the Muslim Ummah is concerned, was literally decimated. And so this is all about a revival of this wonderful institution that that we have as a legacy from the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So in a sense, this has just that's been the focus of these conferences.
I'll tell you what piqued my interest when this international conference was underway was the fact that Aasif Bulbulia presented a paper, and it dealt with Mia's farm, and I think that is an iconic landmark as far as we as Muslims are concerned in this part of the world or in this part of South Africa. And I was so interested in finding out where and how the Mia family, got together and decided, decided that they're going to get involved with AWQAF, or to leave a legacy as far as Waqf in their name is concerned.
Actually, this has been the most interesting paper that I think we've actually ever seen in South Africa. And being, as you rightly pointed out, a paper on the Waterfall Islamic Institute, which is really the, everybody knows. I mean, when we were children, we were told if we were naughty, we're going to Mia's farm. So, everybody, I think, within the Muslim community knows. And I mean, they've been involved in a school. They've been involved in the Jamiatul Ulama was actually housed there at Mia's farm, and they've got a printing press. They publish Qurans and literature and so forth. But the fact that Waterfall City is now on Mia's farm, that is the key aspect that Aslam, or rather Aasif, actually brings about and talks about in his paper. And he relates it to the whole issue about being Waqf land, and how is it that it has become a place for the super wealthy, the billions of rands that have gone into that particular project. And of course, there's lots of questions arising out of it as to, well, what's happening to the income of that particular Waqf. I know that I personally had an interview with the late Ibrahim Baimia, rahmatullah alayh, and he mentioned to me how many madrasas, like they support 1,000 madrasas. Each madrasa has 100 children each. Each madrasa has one teacher, but that was like maybe 10 years ago. And compared to what it is today, the projected value of Waterfall City runs into hundreds of billions of rands. Just one building there is about R1 billion. The Africa Mall, or Mall of Africa, is probably worth a few billion rands as well. So the thing is that Aasif's paper brings to the fore this particular Waqf, and it also brings to the fore the purpose of this Waqf as well, and also whether in our particular scenario as South Africans and as coming in from a colonial apartheid era, how is it that this particular Waqf blends itself with the environment of apartheid, and where was that really the purpose of this Waqf, to create a super wealthy capitalistic kind of city, or what was the real purpose of it? And I think that a lot more research needs to be done. We do know that it's very difficult actually getting in-depth information from people, but I think this is going to be like an ongoing project, because there has been in the past also a court case around the issue of whether this was Waqf property or not Waqf property. So I think there's a lot more that's going to be coming out from this. And the one thing that I must say about Aasif is that he's taken up this challenge. He's done the research on it. He's really delved into certain very pertinent problems. And I think for Waqf research and for future Waqf researchers in this country, this bodes very, very well. inshallah.
Okay, I think I was slightly, I misunderstood his paper or parts of the questioning. Then I misunderstood it. It so the land wasn't given over to these conglomerates, so to speak. I After hearing your response, I assume it was leased out to them on maybe a 99-year lease or whatever it might be. But then the converse also would then suggest, Alhamdulillah, that all the monies derived from the leasing of the land can go back into future phenomenal projects for the upliftment of the community. So that's
Absolutely.
a very, very positive spin, is it not?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, that's like, I mean, having one of the biggest Waqfs in Africa and perhaps even in the world, it is really, really, I mean, massive. We just you just can't imagine the numbers that flow out of that. So the income that gets generated out of this Waqf is of particular interest, I think, to the whole community because it is public property. Waqf is public property. It belongs to Allah, and it then becomes public property. So, and the public has a right of some insight into how it operates and so forth. Likewise, with any other Waqf asset, people will have a question around what its purpose is and what it's used for and so forth. Although they primarily accountable to donors, but I think the public in this particular case, because it's such a massive project of major public interest, not only amongst Muslims, but I think for South Africa, it's of particular interest. And we do know that in the past there have been some rumblings, even by the EFF, around this property. So let's wait and see if there's any further research coming out. But what we would like to see is where is all this income going to be spent, and if it does get spent for poverty alleviation and upliftment, and providing maybe massive electricity plants and massive water plants and so forth, maybe building dams for the country. I think this is going to be phenomenal for the Muslim Ummah of South Africa.
Alhamdulillah, and I don't think anyone else, any other group in South Africa, white or otherwise, would be able to boast something like this. So, shukr, alhamdulillah, truly a feather in the cap of the Muslim community, but very especially the Mia family of the Waterfall Muslim Institute. I mean, they've been doing this type of work for years on end. And I think that it is truly, truly commendable. And we should, as the larger Muslim community, give them our full support. I just think that they are a phenomenal family. That being said, Zainul, there's a message from Lena Eli. Eli, I think it's Lena Eli. Thank you indeed for your post. She says there is really a need of big awareness on Waqf resources management, exactly what you've been saying. Waqf management resources and the use of it. What is the resources meant for and for whom? Again, exactly what you've said. Usually, Waqf funds are run based on the organization's perspective and not based on the need of people. However, most Waqf are doing recommendable work. Over to you to wrap up,
Yeah, I think I
Zainul.
think generally a Waqf and what its purpose is. There's broadly the purpose of pleasing Allah and doing anything good out of the Waqf, but also it depends on the donor. The donor actually dictates what this Waqf is all about and how the Waqf should be spent. And I mean, there's lots of examples we can actually give you in terms of how a Waqf is actually structured, but I think we don't have the time for all of that
No.
right now. But yes, the donor is really the kingpin of a Waqf, because remember that a Waqf is voluntary. It's a very highly ranked charity in Islam, but it also gives the donor the freedom to decide on what aspects of charity this Waqf should actually go for. So should it be going for water? Should it be going for housing? Should it be going for art and culture? Should it be going to build a university, etc., etc.? So the donor actually decides and dictates, provided that it is Sharia compliant. That is the main point about the Waqf. So um, yes, in terms of how it should be spent, to whom it should be spent, I think all those can actually be dictated by the donor as well. How much should be spent in terms of administration expenses? That also the donor decides. We can't, leave that at the discretion of the management. The donor actually has got that power, and it's almost like a will that a person leaves when you die. That's the kind of terms and conditions that have to be adhered to and that have to be respected by the people that manage the Waqf itself. So there are lots of aspects to it, and I think one has to actually understand how the whole Waqf system works in order to be able to get the whole grasp to it. In the case of AWQAF South Africa, we have certain designated Waqfs where people donate for specific purposes, and then we have a Waqf that is for general purposes, which the donors have given the trustees the mandate to spend on needs in the community. So it depends, because it's a very, very flexible kind of institution. We have this kind of liberty and flexibility to decide on how we want to spend the income that gets generated out of the Waqf investments. And then, of course, there's also those restrictions.
So many more questions. I think you and I need a couple of hours to unpack this because it's so very interesting as well. Just to end off, to also say that undoubtedly future generations of the Mia family would run with the will and I suppose whatever the previous generations had intended as far as this Waqf is concerned. So their future generations will keep an eye on it as well. But we'll have to leave this for another time, but thank you indeed. And I like the ideas that you put out there regarding water and, water infrastructure, housing, hospitals, schooling. There's just so much that can be done with the income derived from those lease agreements. But like I said, we're going to have to leave it for another time. Thank you indeed for being with us on the air this morning.
So just as a last point, we are having Aasif to actually talk about his paper and talk about his travels for this Global Waqf Conference in Pakistan, which will be held on Saturday, this coming Saturday, at the AWQAF office, as well as being an online program as well. So we'd like to ask viewers out there, anybody interested, check out on our website for details, and you're welcome to attend either in person or have it online as well. So Aasif will be presenting, and you could ask him all those very difficult questions as well.
Inshallah, I'd love to be there. You go well.
Okay.
May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept all of your efforts and the rest of the team, obviously. Till the next time, as always, Assalamu alaikum to you.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. Jazakallah, barakallahu feek.
It is exactly 8 after 10 o'clock. Our final interview for the morning is with Shaheen Issouf. He is obviously, as we all know, with Sahuk, and he's now going to give us an update on the recent Hajj and Umrah seminar or conference that was held in the Holy Kingdom. And let's hear if he has anything more to add to what I've shared with you this morning. So we will be joined by Shaheen in literally a minute.